Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Shea Station podcast. It's episode, I have no idea. It's 10:30 at night on a Thursday, and the Mets have just signed Brandon Nimmo to an 8-year deal and David Robertson to a 1-year deal. They continue to make a flurry of offseason signings. They've addressed the problem in center field. Brandon Nimmo is likely a Met for life. I'm one of your co-hosts, Jack, aka Jolly. Joining me is Brandon Nimmo's former teammate, Jerry Blevins. Jerry, how are you feeling right now?
I'm good, man. This is way past my bedtime. I was actually out watching Thursday Night Football with a dear friend of mine who had some time off, and I was like, "Oh shit, I'm gonna have to record." So I texted you when the news broke because I knew you were busy, and here we are, man. 10:44 at night. We're not even at the winter meetings, or we weren't. We didn't have to burn the midnight oil,
Feels
but
like we
we're
were.
getting things done here, Jolly. We can do it.
I mean, I was at the warehouse hanging out with Audio Jack, a couple other John Boy Media guys playing blitzball, hanging out. I get a text from you, and I dart home, and here we are. I barely had a chance to look at pretty much anything.
Describe the text that I sent you.
It's really funny.
Just
Uh, it's Nimmo, all capitals, three exclamation points, record in the morning, which is obviously not happening.
Nimmo coming back. This is a genuine mutual win for everybody. 8 years, 162 million. He's 30. He'll be 38 at the end of the contract. It's a lot of money, but it's not astronomical. I believe that he left quite a bit on the table. I bet he got offered probably close to, if not a little bit over 200 somewhere.
Yeah.
But I feel like this is the best fit for him, for Chelsea, his wife, for his family, for the Mets too. He really wanted to be. He was earnest about how he was feeling about returning at the end of the season, but he also did his due diligence, man. He put himself out there. He did, not on the level of what Aaron Judge did with the Yankees, but he went out there and wanted to make sure that he wasn't being silly and frivolous about where he went, and he returned home. It's a huge win for the organization. To me, he is the captain of the team now. He is the face of the franchise. He is the man out front. He's been there the longest. As much as I know you want to give Pete Alonso that captain, to me it's Brandon Nimmo, and it's Nimmo for many reasons. A lot of them are off the field stuff in the clubhouse, in the players association groups, in front of the media. I just feel like his presence, it's such a big signing. There's not one Mets fan that's upset. There might be like, man, this might get a little dicey at the end of it, but they're all happy because he is the joyful player to watch, to be around. Anybody that's had the luck of running into him, it's genuine. Nancy and MJ, huge Mets fans, seven line army, great people. They'll tell you that he is one of a kind, genuine gem of a person. He is a great human being,
As they say.
truly. So everybody's happy. It's a win-win for everybody involved. They didn't go too far beyond. He got to return to a place he's happy, and he makes this team so much better.
You summed it up so well. I mean, $20 million a year for Brandon Nimmo is something I would sign up for in a heartbeat. I didn't think that was even feasible. And I think you're totally right. I think Brandon Nimmo did leave some big offers on the table. The Giants had a lot of money to spend now that it wasn't being spent on Aaron Judge. The Padres apparently have $400 million in the bank and some of it left over from that Bogaerts deal. There are a lot of teams that could have used a center fielder like Brandon Nimmo. But the thing is, Brandon Nimmo wanted to be here. And I think Steve Cohen made it clear that Nimmo was a priority to this team. And we finally get the long awaited answer of who's coming back in the big three of the Mets free agents. And it's Brandon Nimmo and Edwin Diaz. And honestly, I think that leaves the team in the best state possible because you went out and you got Justin Verlander to fill that DeGrom void. Now there's really arguably no hole on this team. This team looks like it's ready to contend. You can still add more, and I'm sure that they will. It's a payroll pushing for over 400 million now, and it doesn't look like they're stopping. But Nimmo, I think some people will get scared off by the years, and I get it because it's an 8-year deal and those can be scary. And Nimmo's going to turn 30 years old next year. But he put in the work, man. He just looked like a completely different ball player last year. Such improved defense. The pop is really, showing out in the slugging numbers now. He's just a perfect leadoff hitter. He works him for 10 pitches every at bat. He's a joy to watch. And I really don't think any other fan base would have truly appreciated the sprinting to first base and the constant smiling that Brandon Nimmo brings to the table as much as us, because we've had it for so long. And by the end of the contract, if Nimmo, plays out the whole contract, he'll be a 15-year Met, which is a
Wow.
very, very cool thing.
Wow. Yeah. It's such a huge win. I think he would have endeared himself to any fan base, to be honest. I think especially it's going to be a long term. It might have been like, what is this, a show if it was a 1 year thing? Um, but I mean, he's one of a kind, man. I'm very happy to cover him. Very happy for a Mets fan, and this team is solid. Like you said, there's no more holes. They can still add and get deeper. They can add another starter in to blow this out of the water. I don't know how likely it is now, but they've got a complete team, and it's December.
Yeah. I mean, we might be bored for the next couple months. I'm not gonna lie.
Well, we put in work now. Give me a breath. Let me.
Yeah, seriously, guys, let me fucking breathe.
I'm very happy. I'm very, very happy.
And the thing that's standing out to me, like Steve Cohen has spent so much money in 3 years just owning this team, and we've seen so many different contracts. But it's becoming abundantly clear with the domino effect of these signings that it really seems like this guy is going to stop at nothing until this team wins a World Series. Like it's astonishing. I can't believe it every day.
I've seen it, in the first iteration of Scherzer and Verlander and what Illich did as an owner with the Detroit Tigers
Yeah,
and Dombrowski. I saw what they did. It was a little bit chaotic and there was a downturn. This feels more sustainable to me. This feels more calculated. This feels more they would have given DeGrom 8 years to make him
yeah.
happy, to make sure he returns. Seems like there's a little bit more of methodology in there. But I think you're right. I think he won't be happy. I think he'll never be satisfied. He wants to win a World Series, but what he wants is a sustainable winning model. And I feel
Yeah.
like they're on the way. Um, a lot will be dependent upon things that we don't know, that the development of the young guys, but that's beyond where we are now. What we see on the major league field is a willingness to put quality players, pay them what they're worth, and put them in a position to succeed with Buck Showalter at the helm. Like, it's very exciting.
Yeah, and so now you mentioned the lineup before, but it's going to be kind of running back this lineup from last year and hoping that either one, the Mets add some pop outside of that, or two, some of these rookies perform, and Francisco Alvarez, Brett Beatty. That remains to be seen, but I don't think that should be a point to complain, because looking at this lineup without Brandon Nimmo and some other center fielder out there is marginally worse than the 2022 Mets that we saw last year that were so good at stringing together long at bats and passing the baton and all that. It was a necessity. This was the thing that needed to happen. There was really no viable center fielder behind Brandon Nimmo on the market.
And he also defined what the Mets were trying to do philosophically from
Yes.
the plate. He defined
Yes.
it. And it would have been a little bit strange to see them bring somebody else in that just didn't quite get it. What Eric Chavez and those guys have done from a standpoint of putting the ball in play. And it's going to be even better now that they're without the shift. Like, there's going to be better opportunities, more opportunities for guys that don't strike out to make this ball club a winning ball club. Like, I'm very excited going forward to see what this team can do. Like, it's going to be fun. It's already fun. And once again, man, we've got a complete team, and I'm very excited to have Brandon Nimmo. Shout out David Robertson, man. You are not a background piece. by any means, but I'm sure even you understand that there's a legacy piece here. There's a piece of Mets fandom. This guy has a chance to make his way onto Mount Rushmore. You know what I mean? Not
Yeah.
He's not going to get there. I don't think he has the numbers, but he can be a top 10 player of all time with the in the Mets uniform. Longevity, collecting. Like I think he has a chance to be a truly spectacular Ring of Honor style player for the New York Mets.
I mean, not a lot of Mets have played are going to play 15 total seasons with the club. That's just an astronomical amount of games. And a lot of these guys, they figure it out at age 30. They have a nice prime second half of their career. And Brandon Nimmo, this was the first time he played over 150 games. He looked like the best version of himself. He looked at the top of his game in every area. And it would have been such a shame to watch the best version of Brandon Nimmo and then see him walk out the door. It would have been heartbreaking, honestly. As tough of a pill to swallow as the DeGrom departure was for me, personally.
Yeah. Yeah. It would have been worse because I know for a fact how, DeGrom would have been happy to come back, but he's going to be happy leaving. If Nimmo had to sign elsewhere, it would have been because he had to sign elsewhere because he didn't get anything worthy from the team that he wanted to be with, and it would have left him jaded. But he did it, and we don't have to talk about it. It's great. I think Nimmo's style of at bats will age well.
I agree.
I think obviously his defense at some point will take a step back. Um, he has had some health concerns, so there are some issues there. But I think at least for this short term, he's going to be fine for the next 3, 4 years. That's the dream. When Marte comes off the book, Escobar comes off the book, maybe he slides over. They bring in a young guy, or a young guy steps up in the organization, becomes a center fielder. He can go to left field and take a step back, stop stealing bases. We don't need you to do
We
that.
don't need
Don't
it.
even attempt anymore. Keep those hammies sweet. Maybe even slow down a step when you take a walk. I'm okay with that. But I'm very happy to be covering him as a friend, as an analyst, as a podcaster. I'm excited because I know how exciting he is to watch as a baseball player.
Yeah, it felt like a little piece of the heart would have been gone for the
Oh,
Mets
that would
without
have
Brandon
sucked.
Nimmo. It would have just sucked. There's no
Yeah,
real
that
other
would have
way to
been stinky.
articulate it other than it would have
That would have
stunk.
sucked. That would have been tough. DeGrom's had his up and downs with the fans, with the media, the injuries, the just he was the greatest pitcher ever, and there was a lot of letdown with the fact that he just couldn't make it onto the mound. Not his fault. But there's things that come with that. Nimmo, I don't think he's ever had a real down moment. Even when he wasn't performing at his best, the people will always cheer for that guy, and then for good reason.
And the one thing that I've always really loved, and the kind of the point where I knew I wanted him to come back, was that post game interview he gave after the wild card loss, where he stayed in uniform. He stood out for reporters for a long time and gave a long interview and answered every single question and was transparent about the entire thing about free agency. And I was like, this is a stand up guy. Like, he's really good with the media as well as being amazing on the field. And it showed that he really really cared about this team and like was heartbroken to see that for that first playoff berth since his rookie season ends so quickly. And it's clear that he's hungry for more, and it's making me really excited. It's really cool.
So yeah, the last thing I want to say in closing, again, this is the health of this organization. The way they went after Edwin Diaz, didn't lowball him, didn't give him this bullshit offer. They gave him the respect due. I felt like the same thing happened with Brandon Nimmo. He was willing to tip his hand a little bit and talk earnestly and honestly about his want to come back. Genuine, I want to be a New York Met. I'm going to go out there. I'm going to go see what's out there. And the fact that they didn't use that as complete leverage to say, guess what? You're going to get 6 years and we're going to give you this. And he didn't have to leave like Freddie Freeman did. Or, they gave him a fair market. As far as I'm concerned, we'll see. I'm sure that'll come out there like a team offered him 200. But I feel it's very fair. It's an extension of years. It's $20 million a year. To me, it seems fair, and it's nice. It's a respect for an organization from a player combined together, perfect harmony. I felt like I just sang the song of an opening sitcom I don't know about, but it's a thing.
It was beautiful. It was beautiful.
Yeah, what do you want to say about David Robertson? I'm
Yeah,
for it.
I love it.
I think it's yeah, go for it.
I mean, this was very clearly a guy that the Mets wanted to trade for at the deadline. Whatever the Phillies offered must have been better. I don't remember who the prospect was exactly. And Robertson, still kicking. He's gonna be age 38 next season.
It'll be
Good for him.
38. Yeah.
That's really cool. He was out of baseball basically for 3 years, only had 19 games to show for it from 2019 to 2021.
His
And
first go round
then
with the Phillies.
not so good.
Yeah, he got hurt. He got hurt.
He
And
got hurt. You
yeah,
can't
he got
control that.
hurt. Yeah, and it affected him. But his career is incredible. He's got a sub 3 ERA in almost 800 innings, like 739 innings. Like the guy has been an absolute animal. And he looked great last year. We saw it when he pitched very well for the Phillies. They stretched him out farther than he should have been stretched. They tried to him and Sir Anthony Dominguez pitched so much that I didn't know if they were going to be able to pick their arms up coming into this year. Kind of a worry at 38, but hell, if you're signing old guys, let's just sign all the old guys.
We love it, man. We love the old man team here. And I mean, I don't think it's too much of a risk at $10 million. I mean, the guy has proven that he can rebound from injury and stuff like that. He threw 63 innings last year, which is a pretty decent sample size. That's basically his average on his career.
Pitched in the Olympics. Like he did a lot of stuff.
And we still needed that eighth inning bridge if it's not going to be Ottavino, which isn't off the table. I don't think
It's not. It could not. It could be Rayleigh. It could be Drew Smith. It could that there. These guys can slide in and out of any particular spot. I like it, and there's always the fear factor of can he perform in New York? Well, clearly he can perform in New York. He performed in Philly, but he performed as a Yankee for so long. That's not a question. We know he can perform. It's not going to be too much for him. Just a really, really good piece. It was somebody that we really pressed for to trade for. And, whether you still are holding it against Epler and his lack of moves at the trade deadline for not getting pieces, there's still a lot of chatter on that. They're making moves now. So I don't know how you're feeling before, but you got to at least see being appreciative of what they've done. This hot stove, this has been wild. Baseball's been so slow the last few years in the off seasons. This is nice. I like this.
It's nice having a normal off season.
In the news cycle consistently, like it's a big deal to see it during football season. People don't just forget that baseball's off. It's a bright future for the team. And all these young guys seeing all these deals, it's going to bring youth back to baseball. It's exciting.
Yeah, and it's nice having a normal off season. No lockout, no pandemic, like normal winter meetings. And this is, I mean, maybe it's because we've been away from it for a while, but this is the best, December of baseball that I can remember in a very long time in terms of.
It feels like forever, but I don't remember another. We're feeling it firsthand with being with the Mets and thinking about the Mets. So we've seen an absolute slew of moves. But this feels like a very active front of baseball. Like this is all we're going to get our guys. We're making offers, letting the chips fall after that. This feels very good. After the last CBA, before this was the year the half of the aged 33 and older, all those guys had to go to the alt site because nobody wanted to give them a deal. Teams are realizing that veterans mean something again.
Yes.
Having a guy, so you have a mix between young guys hitting free agency and being at the top of their game, and teams understanding that veteran guys that know how to succeed at the big league level are valuable for a team that's trying to win. And so it's been this beautiful, harmony of just signings, and I love seeing it for the health of the team. I want to make sure that the Mets fans come out and support this and let Steve Cohen, that this is worth it, not just because he wants to win, but because the fans that are with him are appreciative that he's doing this. I'm just happy to be covering the Mets right now. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, that's the key. It's really fun to just be covering this team at this time. If I was, 23 years old 10 years ago, would have been a very different team that I would be covering, very different outlook on everything. And I mean, last season we got the Steven Matz bait and switch and then the spending spree after that. This year we get the DeGrom departure and the angry spending after that, and who knows what it's going to be next year. But this, I mean, is this going to be annual? Is this just going to be every year that we get this flurry of signings? I'm going to get spoiled, man. I don't
It
want to be.
doesn't feel, again, it doesn't feel like they're doing ridiculous things.
No, it really doesn't.
They didn't give Xander Bogaerts 11 years. They didn't give Trey Turner 11 years. All those guys are amazing. They gave Brandon Nimmo 8, which is a lot. But like, again, they got short-term deal with Verlander, 1 year from David Robertson. They gave 2 years to Jose Quintana. They're giving, they're spending, but
They're
it's
spending
not,
smart.
it's not a Pujols 10-year deal at, at 34 to be 44 when you're done.
Yeah,
It
exactly.
just feels smarter. I could be ignorant about it, but it feels better. It feels like you're not throwing the franchise's future away to get these guys.
If you're a Mets fan and you're not on board with Brandon Nimmo for $20 million a year, I don't know what to say to you.
There's going to be some. I mean, but like to me, well, Chris Rose said something the other day on Baseball Today. It was like, we'll cross that road when we get there. I feel like after Nemo becomes overpaid, I think we'll figure it out. We'll have made 10, 12, 15, 30 other moves by then, probably more than that, and we'll figure it out when we get there. They're not punting all these decisions. They might be affected by some of these, but it feels like a responsible spender.
And I think you're going to care a lot less if the Mets bring home a trophy.
I just came up with a terrible analogy that I don't even want to say.
Oh, come on. Now you got to tell us. Come on.
It's like a functional alcoholic where we're like spending so much, but we can handle it. You know what I mean? Like we'll be fine.
I got it under control. I don't have a problem. I
I
don't have a
got this.
problem. You have a problem.
I got this under control. Functional alcoholic.
I'm
So I hope
fine.
we're not there. I hope we're just like we've got the formula down where we're like, all right, we can drink this,
I
and be
kind of
there.
love that. I'm not going to lie.
All right. Before I say anything crazy, I need to go to bed.
Yeah, I think that's an ep. Go nuts, Mets fans. And apparently we're not done yet either. We'll be back sometime next. We're going to take a break
Yeah, yeah.
if Steve
We'll
permits it.
see. You'll miss me, and
If
you'll let
Steve
me.
lets us. Yeah, seriously. Come
You'll
on.
miss me.
I'll miss you for sure.
For Jolly, I'm Jerry, and let's go Mets.
LGM, baby.
Thank you guys for tuning in.